So hi, I'm Kathryn.
And I'm Kat. And today for our first Chocolate Book Club at Cocoa Runners, we're going to be discussing The Secret Life of Albert Entwistle by Matt Cain. Why have we chosen this book? We've chosen this book because we really loved it. It's a highly enjoyable book with characters that you really love right from the get-go, and all the cast of characters you learn to really care about. Albert himself is somebody who I'm going to read the first line of the book because I think it sort of tells you why something. Albert Entwistle was a postman. It was one of the few things everyone knew about him, and it was one of the few things he was comfortable with people knowing. I think that kind of scene for a story of a man who, we're not going to give any spoilers on this because we all really want you to read the book, but the story of a man who at the opening of the book is 64 years old, approaching his 65th birthday, and his life changes. What he has been used to falls away. He has retirement, and he enters into a quest for the love that he had as a teenager. And it's got very, very engaging prose. It's a deeply romantic book. It's a love story. It's a love quest for lost past love. But it's also a really important book. And it's a reminder of history that I think that we need not to forget about, the period of when homosexuality was illegal in this country, and about somebody coming into themselves, rediscovering themselves at a later stage. And it's a profoundly hopeful book. And we just deeply loved it for all of those reasons. And the writer, Matt Cain, who is a wonderful champion of the LGBTQ plus community, has done something very special with this book. We want to share it with as many people as possible. So Kathryn's going to tell you about the chocolates we've paired, and then we'll go into the chocolates, and far more about the book will be revealed, I'm sure, as we discuss them.
So thank you. And yeah, I loved the book too. So it was so rich, and I could find so many things to pair with it. So actually it was quite difficult to restrict the number of pairings to 4. So
it's the kind of book you want to curl up and eat chocolate with the whole way through, isn't it?
Absolutely, yeah. And like you say, it was uplifting. It was sad, but it was so hopeful. So if you like, it was bitter, but then it was so sweet. The sweetness and joy in the book was just incredible. And it was a love story. To me, it was I understand the importance of all the issues, but what I loved about it was that it was just a love story. It was just 2 people. It was a West Side Story. It was a King and I story. It was those it had that just it was just so personal. And it was about learning about yourself and learning to love yourself as well.
Yeah, a love story where a man learns to love himself at the age of 65, and a deeply sort of celebratory book in many ways, through a lot of pain and a lot of the things that so many people have faced and still face in many countries in the world. And yet, as you say, it's a love story. It is absolutely straightforwardly, and that it's not straightforward because it's such a rarity that we get that in this space. A book of kind of joyous about human relations, and all the people that Albert discovers along the way are just as precious as well. So yes, our pairings are great. I'm excited to taste some of this chocolate.
Yeah. So let me tell you about the pairing. So we've chosen 2 white chocolate bars and 2 dark chocolate bars. So we've looked at the setting of the book, the North and Manchester. We've looked at the characters, particularly Albert and George, but we'll talk about the other characters as well. And we've looked at the themes of repression and expression. And so we've chosen our chocolate on that basis. And through these choices, we're hoping that we can explore a bit further the ideas of masculinity or maleness, our expectations about that, but also our expectations about chocolate.
Yeah.
We'll explore the fight for gay rights, as you rightly said. It's still, you know, we've come a long way, but there's still so far to go, particularly in other countries in the world. And that leads on to the ideas of Western achievements and the lived experience in other places, particularly some of the places where cacao is grown. So we can look at that, the distance between those two places, and they'll also allow us to look at our ability to express ourselves and what can be achieved when we can express the true nature of ourselves. And that goes for us, but also for flavouring chocolate as well. We can look at that. So that's the basis of the pairings. But obviously, as we taste, as we talk, the whole point is that we'll probably find other things, and it'll suggest ideas. That is a successful pairing. If we have expectations and we've done things for a reason, but then it's going to spark conversation, and it's going to want us to explore other elements of Matt's book and also the chocolate we're going to taste. So I'm going to introduce.
Right, we've got a very lovely first chocolate to start with, which is this. It's got the most beautiful mold. Can you see? It's like a kind of honeycomb. This is the toasted white from Dormouse chocolates, and one of the very precious things about Dormouse chocolate is that it's run, apart from the fact that their chocolate is par excellence, you know, is that it is made and run by a couple, Isabel and Karen. And so they are kind of, in that way, in that sense, they kind of embody some of the joy of this book. Going to taste a bit.
Yeah, but in that way, that was a happy coincidence, because
we weren't doing something. We weren't being quite so obviously themed.
I chose the bar because it was Manchester, and the setting of the so when we talked about settings,
yes, they're chocolate makers who live and work in Manchester. So, sorry,
actually the the gay village in Manchester, that was really what, and I'm wondering which character you might think of when you taste this bar.
Taste it. The gay village in Manchester is almost like a character in this book. Albert's first visits to it from where he's come, where he's really been in hiding for most of his adult life, is a kind of extraordinary kind of intense burst of experience, and I tell you, this chocolate to me.
Did you notice the foil colour when you opened the bar? I just love the colour. It's gorgeous, but also the blue, just that bright shining blue, just reminded me of how Albert remembers George with his blue eyes and the bluebells, and that just brought all that back.
Blue eyes and bluebells are a lovely sort of thematic trace through the book. To me, this chocolate is deeply comforting. It has a very rich caramel flavour. It's a white chocolate, but it's strongly toasted, so it's kind of it's like toffee. It's almost like a sort of Caramac, but utterly for grown up. It's 1,000 times kind of better than that. Although absolutely share this with your children, I'm sure they'll appreciate it. But I found this. I think these flavors cannot fail to be very, very comforting. And I think that Albert, as we meet him at the start of the book, is in a place where he has a very set routine, which he uses to kind of hide himself, to not reveal himself, but also he gets comfort from it. And there's one particular point in that comfort routine, which this bar really made me think of, which he has a sort of daily crunchy bar. And the crunchy bar is this sort of comforting, milky, toasted caramel notes. And this bar, in a kind of very, very sophisticated way, really evokes that for me. So kind of that's what this made me think of immediately.
And the crunchy bar is it's what he eats now, but then he used to eat cinder toffee. And then that reminded me of when, and the reason why he eats that is because it was given to him as a present on his first day as a postman. And to me, that's it's the only thing he allows to express, to allow him to have those memories about that love that he experienced. So that's so, and I think of, and so this bar makes me think of George rather than Albert.
Oh,
because
of that.
Yeah, and also it's about our expectations. You know, is white chocolate chocolate? Well, yes, it absolutely is. You know, it's not.
It confounds the expectations. I mean, a lot of the white chocolate that you might get in a confectionery store is actually, you know, artificial fats with milk and sugar.
It's less chocolate than this is, but proper way.
But this is derived from cacao beans. It's cocoa butter, and that's, so it doesn't have any of the cocoa solids, which it has cocoa solids in the cocoa butter, but it doesn't have any of the cocoa mass, which is the dark, flavorful part. And as such, as chocolate experts, you know, you would think, oh, well, are you interested in white chocolate? As such, white chocolate, and you're going to see from the latter bar we've chosen today as well, white chocolate really is something that chocolate makers can use because it doesn't have certain of the flavors of the bean as an amazing vehicle that operates like chocolate, but they compare with other things that would maybe be crowded out by the chocolate or would crowd it out. And so it's some craft chocolate makers are making amazing things, and this is certainly one of them.
And it's sweet, but it's not too sweet. It's not, you know,
no, it's not cloying at all. It's very balanced.
I'm not a fan of white chocolate per se, but I love this because it makes me think of my childhood. It has that caramel feel, but without all that added sugar and to gain that flavor. It's just a little bit of toasted milk and you've got all of that going on.
Exactly. And in fact, you know, the book, as Albert moves forward into what starts out as a kind of enforced next stage of life and becomes something that he claims in a very, very special and moving way, he's unpicking his past, including his childhood, including the realization that he's gay and the problems around it. But childhood and his youth in particular are a kind of very, very important part of the narrative of the book. And so things that kind of are nostalgic, evoke childhood, are happy memories, are really woven into this story. So I think that in that respect, a kind of nostalgic flavor, but seen anew, is kind of a really special link, actually. Yeah,
and again, how with so limited ingredients you can just
make something so amazing. Yeah.
So cool. That was our first bar.
What have we got for number 2?
Okay, so we're now going really to the other extreme. We're going from white to dark. It's only a 70%, so we're not, you know, not going 100% or anything like that. But I chose this bar, or I proposed this bar because of the link with Tanzania. So we were talking about how we've come so far with gay rights here, but then when you look at other parts of the world, in Tanzania, it's still illegal to be a homosexual, and you can get life imprisonment or convicted for it. So, and that's, you know, this is the country where that cacao was grown.
Yeah.
So,
and it's important to remember to keep fighting. Yeah,
absolutely. And
doing anything we can do. Yeah.
That sheer rift between our experience here and what we've gained and our ability to enjoy these things compared to the life experiences of you know, I'm sure there's obviously going to be some cocoa growers, but the life that they're living.
And there's a very interesting, there's an interesting link with sort of differences of state in sort of different parts of the world, in that Original Beans, which is the maker of this bar, is founded by Philip Kaufman, who comes from a conservationist background. And his intention in founding Original Beans was very much to support cacao growing communities, which are, because of the sort of distance between where cacao is grown and where it is, where chocolate tends to historically have been made and eaten, and these things get closer and improve all the time. Cocoa growers are often extremely poor, the prices are too low to support their families and everything well. So he's made a really active link between the chocolate we're eating and supporting the community overseas. And I think that, with the LGBTQ plus community, I think we could all listen to each other and activists and appreciate what we have in this country, and try and remember the other communities around the world, and find if there are ways that we can support, and just not forget.
That links that whole issue of corporate responsibility.
Absolutely.
And the other thing about this bar is the elephants and the things that the project that Original Beans are supporting. They are setting up beehives to prevent the elephants actually trashing the cocoa farms. So it's using so you've got this gentle giant. This
I actually didn't know that. Is there an elephant on the?
Yeah, there's an elephant on the cover. Yeah. And it tells you that, you can go onto the website.
All their wrappers are gorgeous.
I know they are, but the stories behind it, and that they are real projects. This is really happening. That, and for me, the idea of you've got the cow growers trying to make a living. You've got elephants who are just trying to eat, and the antagonism and the misunderstanding between both. And then just by that intervention and putting the bees, so that the bees will sting the elephants, so the elephants don't go trash the farms, and then so the elephants are not being killed, and the farmers are getting an additional income from the honey as well.
So it is a microcosm story of live and let live. It is a live and let live story.
So. We see what it tastes like.
It's got a wonderfully intense aroma.
It's very outspoken, that aroma, don't you think?
Yeah, it is. Really, really dark and toasted.
Treacly.
Yeah.
Oh. Really creates those expectations of what you're gonna taste. It's a slow melt, but you get release from the start.
There's a lot of fruit in this bar, but bright fruit, citrus, grapefruit, and then also throughout there's sort of darkly toasted notes like coffee. The thing about it's got sort of coffee and dark caramel along with grapefruit, and it's absolutely delicious. It's kind of almost like dark marmalade on toast, It's the thing for me that made me spark off an idea about the book with this bar is that it's got, and I don't think we said that earlier, is it got cocoa nibs through it. So it has a texture so it's got little bits through, and those are nibs of the same cacao, and they are obviously, unsweetened roasted cocoa nibs. So they're a little touch of something that you meet all the way through it that's a little darker. It's delicious, but it's sort of crunchy and darker. And I just sort of felt that, the journey Albert goes on, which is delicious to read, it's kind of beautiful, this wonderful prose, it's full of warmth. And yet, all the way through, one after another, he's hitting difficult moments, he's hitting small challenges, big challenges, huge challenges, things he's put off his whole life, and he overcomes each of them. You know, he kind of, but there are difficult moments, and there are kind of bitter moments, and there are sweet, unexpected moments, and somehow the idea of a bar textured in this way, in a kind of oversimplified way, actually I thought was kind of nice in the same way as it's just a little journey of kind of unexpected things, and it's also one of the reasons why the book is so joyful, because it's got this overarching incredible journey, but there are also so many little encounters that are simply precious within it.
Yeah, and again, when I think where it's come from, and the issues in Tanzania, you know, the darkness and those nibs, to me, that's, you know, it kind of brought all that forward. But the other thing that, when I tasting it, I'm thinking about characters and who it might, you know, you've got that.
Who it might be.
You've got that, yeah. Who might it be? And you know, I think about, first of all, was thinking about Jack, because that outspokenness, and you know, that his, you know, this is what a man should
Jack
be.
is a colleague. Jack is a colleague of Albert, who kind of seems at the start of the book to embody a kind of toxic masculinity.
But the more I think about it, the more I think about Albert's mother, and her, where there should be love, there's toxicity.
She's a very prickly character who we get to know through the book, and understand her effect.
And I don't know where that comes from. You know, how can a mother react to their child like that? But then you've got all the hurt that she's got behind, and then as the book goes on, you become less certain of whether she was accepting of him or not. And I think, to me, it starts to make me think about that. And
I understand, except for I think there's a lot of compassion for his mother written by Matt Cain into the book, and we kind of understand where she's gone sour, but she surely has gone sour, and it does a lot of damage. And I really love this chocolate, so I kind of prefer to think of it as a kind of enjoyable, fun-packed journey.
But with that dark element in it. And I think that's
dark element in it, absolutely.
Not everything is dark. It's like, you know, even with that, there's hope in that relationship, isn't there? There's hope, sort of trying to express itself. And I think that's, or managing to express itself, as you felt that was what happened.
Next one.
Bar. So the third bar, I've looked at another origin. We talked about Tanzania, and
now we're in Madagascar.
So then we went from Tanzania to Madagascar. Madagascar again. It's not illegal to be homosexual, but it is still a social taboo, and it's something that's not talked about. It's being exposed, but it's not. It's still a very difficult place to live. And my expectation of a Madagascan chocolate, what would you expect? You know, we talked about this.
Lots of red fruit. Bright red fruit.
Right. So brightness and fruit. And so we looked at, when we're looking at characters, this could be the Albert bar. It's
also really unexpected. I mean, you know, some are, but it's very light in colour for a 70%. It's got a gorgeous kind of reddish, very light colour.
In a very simple form as well. The inner package looked like an envelope, which I thought made sense.
I like that.
That just made me laugh. But it is beautiful. It's simple, but it's so beautiful. The packaging is absolutely.
To me, the thing about this bar is, as a plain dark origin bar, which very cleanly expresses the flavor of the cacao it came from. It's not, there's no contaminations, there's no over roasting, there's no problematic thing. It's a beautifully processed,
just the
bar.
bare bones.
Beautifully well done, bare bones. There's a purity about this that to me is absolutely at the heart of this book, and the character of Albert, the character of George, many of the other characters too, actually, and we discover them. But there's a sort of pure joy and a kind of pure, there's a pure love expressed by bare bones for this particular cacao, but there's just something bright and clean and natural and lovely and deeply pleasurable about this, that for me is just a wonderful thing to have alongside such a beautiful story and characters who have been thwarted, but they refind their core, or in good George's case, he retains his core, which we find as we meet him again later. And I loved it for that. You know, I just think there's a purity about this chocolate which is at the heart of this story.
And that brightness, that
yeah,
that explosion of brightness, that's you know, it's not a really strong aroma. I think, you know, you're not you're not preparing yourself for that, you know, not really sure what's coming. I mean, sometimes, you know, your aroma is just, but
you know what else this makes me think of?
Oh,
it makes me think of Albert dancing.
Yeah,
it makes me think of Albert dancing by himself as
absolutely.
we meet him at the beginning of the book, and after that wonderful first line on the first pages, you just fall in love with him.
Yeah.
But you meet him at work and sort of hidden, and then you see him at home, and you find, you know, that this is somebody who has hidden, but he dances by himself at home, which is just sort of a purity of
behind
human
the
experience.
curtains, you know. It's behind that.
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
All being released, and you know, even no one can see it. It's just that, that sheer joy, and then that reminiscent of him seeing George just dancing. Well, they dance in dancing in a few occasions, don't they? They go to Blackpool.
Yeah.
But it just,
yes, exactly. Him dancing him by himself, exactly. You can tell however excited we both are by remembering that, by sort of thinking of that part of the book, is just that no matter what is thrown at you and no matter what you've done to yourself as a result, just experiencing one's human senses alone and for its own sake is a kind of profoundly pure and joyous thing. And you know, if we taste something beautiful, tapping into that taste, being fully awake to it, is a parallel experience. And this is a very pure chocolate. I think it's very easy to experience that kind of joy in eating this.
Absolutely. Wow, I love that bar.
Wow. Just wow times 3 so far. Okay.
Just, and you know, that experience is going to stay with me.
That's totally. It makes me want to go and dance around the kitchen now. The fourth bar that we've chosen is, can you see this beautiful one that I really have to go into? We have to hold that up big time.
You can't not love that bar.
It's Om Nom.
Can you see it?
Who are in Iceland, and they have amazing packaging. But also I'm going to do this so that you can see the full. If you take the collar off, look at that. Romance, joy. It's just beautiful. Their design is all super beautiful. That's the back. Now this is a flavored bar, and it's a white bar, as Kathryn said.
You just had to have this bar in this book.
I had to have this bar. Yeah, I had to have this bar. I was really insistent on it.
They do a pride bar, Om Nom, which you can also get, but we wanted this one.
Yeah, the pride bar is salted caramel, right?
It is, yeah, and
which is also amazingly good.
It is, and it's lovely. But this was just, and that was about, you know, that was a pride bar, but this is a love bar. And that's why
this is licorice and raspberry.
I'm not a fan of licorice, I have to tell you this.
So
that's why I was a little bit worried about it.
Licorice and raspberry, and there's a reason for choosing something which sounds a little out there and a little unconventional, but also a little extra. You know, it's not just licorice or just raspberry, it's both. And yes, it's a white bar, it's kind of darkened with natural, it's got natural licorice and pieces of raspberry on the back. And forgive me for my very tatty nail varnish, which is blue for Albert's eyes.
Absolutely.
George's eyes. Okay, this Kathryn, you eat it while I just keep speaking for a second, because I won't be able to do both at once.
I can smell the licorice.
Licorice, I think licorice is really interesting. It's a kind of a Marmite ingredient in that some people love it, some people hate it. What we know of as licorice.
I've got to really concentrate on this to overcome that initial licorice punch.
What we know of as licorice, candies when we're kids, sweets in bags at the shop with bits of fondant layered through them and stripy things, bears about as much relation to natural licorice and good licorice as the candy in the shops, the confectionery bars bear to craft chocolate. And natural licorice is this beautiful aromatic thing which has a lot of a kind of dark molasses flavor in it. And it's sexy, you know, it's got dark molasses and aromatic flavors, aniseed and molasses, think in those terms. And then also in this bar, and this opens out because the white chocolate is this kind of beautiful carrier for it. I've given this bar to people who don't like licorice, and they by the end of it they understand what I'm getting at. This is funky and it's bright, it's sexy, but it's also just gloriously uninhibited. You know, it's expressing itself. This is a performance on your tongue. And for me, this was a kind of fantastic way to kind of, I just wanted to allow all the characters this kind of level of be yourself,
flamboyance,
you know,
and
whether you're everybody's taste or not, you know, be yourself. And you say something, because I'm dying to eat this.
Well, thank you, because that has really helped that taste experience, because like I say, I was hit by that licorice, but my memories of licorice, and that's what I don't like, you know, I that's not but I sense that I can pick out those flavors that you're talking about. It feels much more natural. It's a much more natural flavor, and then slightly sour, but then beautifully balanced with the sourness comes from the raspberries, but beautifully balanced by the white chocolate. And that's exactly reminiscent of the caramelly flavors in the dormouse. Yeah,
the white chocolate is so smooth and kind of silky and seductive that it kind of layers over all of it,
and you've got
carrying it.
But you've got those the tanginess and the brightness of the raspberries, but then you've got that those intriguing licorice. Actually, I actually said that. Intriguing licorice flavors.
Well, I just think this bar is a full-on disco dance, not in your kitchen on your own, but with a club full of exciting, funky people joining in.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think I'd agree with that.
Good.
Absolutely. It is quite, yeah. I've surprised myself, I have to say. That is, it's an amazing bar.
And also,
I love that. And it's just, I'm so pleased, because I had, you know, I really wanted to like it, and I was really worried that I wasn't going to like it. But actually, I loved it.
You can see how exciting it is. And also, I just think, in a sense, although, I mean, you know, judging chocolate, I've tasted all sorts of kind of things that are much more out there than this, but this does challenge expectations. It challenges expectations, it being a white chocolate from a craft chocolate makers. It challenges expectations, it being licorice, but it's not kind of standard candy. It challenges expectations, pairing that fruit with that root, you know, licorice
Yeah.
Is licorice a root? You know, whatever it is. You know, but the thing, it challenges expectations. Everything about what they do challenges expectations, actually, on Nom in many ways.
And they're a bit like Naive. Their ability to bring those flavors together and create something amazing.
Yeah.
You know, it's all about pairing those flavors, isn't it? And just creating something new by bringing them all together. That's
balanced, and it's beautiful,
balanced,
but not by being gentle and safe. It's balanced and it's beautiful by coming out and proudly declaring itself. And that, for me, is a wonderful metaphor for what happens within this book. Reducing a profound human story to a chocolate bar. However, I just think it's kind of interesting to see that you know, if one can think sort of thematically and experience something just by tasting that, kind of thinking that way. I love this bar and I love this book.
And that's what you know, that's the whole point of bringing the two together, because you're gonna it makes you think much more about both, and you know, ask questions and start to explore.
You know, it's exciting. It's exciting and worthwhile to discuss a book while having certain kind of sensory real life experiences oneself. It gets you out of your head and into your emotions. Even if kind of minor ones, it does, but our tastes are emotional.
So this is what Kat and I think about the book and about the pairings. You've seen our tasting experiences and what we've talked about, but we'd love to hear what you experience.
We'd love to.
You might, you know, you might be able to get completely different ideas from your tastings. You might get completely different things out of the book, and by bringing the two together, you know, it'd be really, we'd really love to hear what you gain and what you learn and what you want to explore because of you've put these two things together,
and what you love, what you love and what you hate. And Albert,
and I think we've realized that we like, even me, that we like loud and proud chocolate.
Yeah, definitely.